Hey there, stampers. Welcome to the Sweet Sunflowers scrapbook layout video that I've created for the September 2022 Scrapbooking Global blog hop. I decided to do a video this month because, well, I had time and I kind of had an idea in mind, and why not film it as I go. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I love to memory keep. Most months when I get my paper pumpkin kit, so this was August 2022, the paper pumpkin kit. When I get that month's kit, I will almost always scrapbook with it. So I am excited to be here to share how I use the contents of this kit to create a fun layout this month. So let me just share the cards. So every month the projects are a little bit different. For the most part, they are cards that you're intended to create, but look how beautiful they are. So there's that one. And I mean, look at the envelope. The envelope itself is so beautiful. So that's card number one. I believe you get the supplies for, I think it's 9, 3 of each. This one. I realize that the camera is probably backwards, same envelope. And then this was the third one. All right, so like I said, I created this layout for the Scrapbooking Global September 2022 blog hop. And this month our theme was a sketch. So we were to take inspiration from this sketch that was created by Courtney. And you'll see when you see my finished layout that there are some resemblances, but I did stray quite a bit as well. All right, let me share a peek at the layout before we go ahead and get started. All right, look at that. Isn't it stunning? I love it so much. I can't wait to fill it with photos. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera around and walk you through the process. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I've got my sketch here to use as a reference. Now I think my layout's going to loosely follow the sketch. So it was my inspiration for the layout, but you're gonna see that it's going to look quite different. So here, a lot of the stuff is kind of at in the lower right, and there's lots of white space. I'm not gonna have that. My cluster is going to kind of be all up the side. I will do a block of photos like this. I do like this detail here. I'm going to omit the circle, and I probably will have a cluster kind of up here as well. So, but that's one of the great things about sketches is you can use them as inspiration. They can be your jumping off point, and it can go in a completely different direction. All right, so you can kind of see how I have it laid out here. So let me share kind of what I've done so far. So first of all, these cards and envelopes are just absolutely stunning. And I kind of thought, you know what, you could do it kind of like this. You could stack them and have a big floral image. So what I did was I opened up the envelope and I fussy cut around all of the details. So this piece here, I believe, is this piece that I've got here. I don't know if that's where it's going to go or not. I just kind of placed it there. And then this, you can see, is this bit right here. So I went ahead and fussy cut it, and that is going to go kind of right there. And then this piece is this piece here. So I did trim that off, but I kept everything else together, and this leaf I trimmed off as well. Okay, so that's going to go kind of up there. And then my layout is going to be for 2 3.5 by 5 inch photos. And I really wanted to add in some black so that they'd really have a pop of black, so they'd really pop off the page. So I did pull in a scrap of black that I'm going to mat those on. And then this is another one of the card bases that's in the Sweet Sunflowers paper pumpkin kit. And that is going to be a matte layer for my photos as well. All right, now my background is something that I actually had done. It was probably for another video, but it was in my white paper, with my white 12 by 12 paper. And the blue matches the blue that's in this paper pumpkin kit. So I pulled it out, but I also pulled out another piece of white as well, because I don't know if I'm going to use this or not, or if I want to start with a blank white piece and use like this, this bit here, one of these as a stencil to add some hexagons in the background, or maybe I'll do that on top of this. I'm not sure just yet. And I do have the rest of my paper pumpkin kit handy. I'm definitely going to incorporate some of those bees, whether it's these little bees or the bees from the stamp set. I'm not sure. But there's some other bits and pieces in there. And then I also want to use this fabulous yellow tissue paper that came in the kit. So down here on the layout, there is a scallop border, and I'm thinking of taking some of the tissue paper and kind of ruffling it and doing a ruffled detail down at the bottom rather than a scallop detail. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and speed this up and we'll see what we end up with. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is adhere these white pieces, which are what I'm using as a photo. They're 3.5 by 5 inches. They're going to get attached to the black cardstock, and I'll have about a 1/16 of an inch border. So that black piece ends up being about 7 1/4 by 5 1/8, I believe. Yeah, 5 1/8. And then that gets added to the green. And you know what? I don't measure this. I just eyeball it. That ends up being about 7.5 by 5 3/8. So I'm just going to eyeball this. It doesn't need to be perfect, because once your photos are added in there and it gets added to an album, nobody's going to notice if you're a sliver off. So I just do it that way because it's nice and fast. Here I'm taking that beautiful yellow tissue paper. I always love it when we get different colors in our kits. And I'm going to cut about a 2-inch strip. It's not going to end up being quite the length that I need. I do end up having to come back and cut a little bit more. And then I'm going to use some of my seal adhesive and just put adhesive all the way along the bottom and then kind of ruffle this tissue paper. And I love that pop of yellow that it brings. So you'll see on the finished layout that there ends up being kind of 3 pops of yellow, and this is one of them towards the bottom. So I'm just ruffling that, and it ends up being a little bit crooked, but I just go in with some snips afterwards and fix it up. So I'm just adding that in here, and you'll notice that I do end up using this background piece with the blue. I just thought that that kind of packaging technique in the blue really worked well with the imagery from the cards that I end up cutting up and using. So I do end up using that background. And you'll also notice that I had a little problem with my video, and it cut out and I didn't realize, and I finished the layout and realized that it had stopped. So I kind of come back and I show you the finished layout and I walk you through what I did. So I apologize for that, but that's what you get with technology. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So here I'm just going to trim that so that it's a little bit straighter. And look at that, how fun that is. I love it. So I'm just ruffling it up, and then I'm going to bring it back down and I will walk you through the rest of the layout. Okay, so it seems that the recording stopped partway through. So I'm going to try to explain what I've done based on where it ended off. Okay, so you saw that I had those 2 pieces. So what I did, you can see that I adhered them together. So I layered them there. And then this piece covers over that seam. I also, on the stem, I added flat adhesive, so just seal. But then on the leaves and some of the floral images, I popped it up using dimensionals just because I wanted a little bit more dimension. All right. I think you saw me do that. I think that was in the recording. Here, these leaves and this flower actually came from, so the flower is here and the leaves are these leaves down here. So I trimmed them out And then I added one of these vellum honeycomb pieces in behind, and one of these, and I inked up just the word happiness from the stamp set. So it says, wishing you so much happiness. So I inked that up using a Mossy Meadow Stampin' Write marker and stamped it on one of the label shapes. Now it's not the best because our photopolymer stamps don't take to the markers very well, but it looks okay. And I added a little bee, and actually a few bees. I added 3 of them. I might actually add a couple more. And I went over the wings with a little bit of Wink of Stella so that it has a little bit of shimmer. So not a lot in there. And I'm not sure what photos I'm going to put in here. So I just kept the title Happiness. I thought Happiness in Bloom would be a really great title as well. But again, because I'm not sure what photos I'm going to put in here, I thought I would just leave it with the word happiness for now. But I absolutely love how this turned out and all the dimension. And I think this really just showcases that beautiful, well, I mean, a combination of the envelope and the card base that's in this kit. And I think that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you are not yet a subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.